So coming fresh off of her world media tour, comparing the Holocaust to mask wearing in the House, Marjorie Taylor Greene decided to take to the stage. She teamed up with Representative Matt Gaetz to take the stage and toss some extra racist red meat to all these empty-minded supporters in the crowd. Let's see who she targeted this time.
No, they're in business of helping the cartels. The cartels love the Democrats. Yeah, they're down there, they're like this. They're like, we're making a lot of money off of Biden, Joe Biden. That's my really bad Mexican accent.
Okay, so I'm not sure if this is, by the way, this is an elected official on stage speaking to supporters when another elected official is ready to say even more horrific things. I'm not sure we can compare whichever ones were more horrific. I think that's what they were battling over. This is now the way that our politicians speak to supporters. Walking around acting like they're a comedian, not really telling jokes, just being racist and saying, don't you hate those Mexicans? Remember when our president came down the escalator and started talking about Mexicans? Remember that? That worked for him. Look at me, pick me, pick me. That's our political discourse now. That's the way that we discuss whether or not we're gonna elect someone else or stay in office or maybe get advanced to the next level. Is, don't you hate Mexicans? Here, I have a bad Mexican impression. Don't you hate them too? That's all you gotta do now?
Yeah, well, that's how Trump got elected. It was the very first thing he said, criminals and rapists. Immigrants that are coming in from Latin American countries and Mexico, et cetera. So, and they loved it. They picked him out of 17 candidates. They weren't confused and they picked him easily. He won easily. I predicted that he was gonna win the Republican primary about 6 months before it happened. Why? Because I could read a poll. He was winning in every poll by a lot. And everybody on media is like, no, the Republican voters are actually really principled conservatives. And they're not gonna go for this racism or bigotry. Meanwhile, they're like, yeah! And so why is Marjorie Taylor Greene doing this? Because it works. She's raising more money than any other Republican in Congress. And she's not raising it to be fair to her, she's not raising it from corporate interests like Mitch McConnell is. She's getting small dollar donors because Republican voters love racism. And so they're like, yeah, they'll say she's speaking the truth. That's what they used to say about Trump too, because they think racism is the truth to them, right? And so they say she has the courage to say what we're all thinking. Okay, well, thank you for clarifying it. And but the Republicans have been doing this for a long time. That shtick about the drug cartels, that's Republican 101. She just goes over the top now by saying, oh, now let me do a Mexican accent and just directly insult people. And then Republican voters they're not mainstream media, they're not elitist. They just go, oh, she's even more racist. Oh yeah, her. I like her better than the other ones, right? So that's why she's doing it, because the Republican voters love it. That's it, I solved it for you.
Well, and Cenk, the issue with this is you are hitting the nail on the head here. This is not like the fringe of the Republican Party and there's some sort of civil war. One of my pet peeves is the constant discussion about Republican civil war. There is no civil war. There is no tension. The Republican Party is firmly behind Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene. They are the best avatars of where the party is and where it's going. And it's not a mistake that Marjorie Taylor Greene has all this support. And the dumber she is and the less effective she is in politics and the House doesn't matter. She's not even on a committee. She can't bring a bill up to be considered. She basically just sits around on social media, wandering around, making racist comments. And to a Republican Party based voter, that's the best type of politician. Not somebody who solves problems for anyone, but just goes out there and spouts their social or political grievances. And the reason why Donald Trump and her are so popular is because all the other Republicans are using euphemisms. They're talking around the issue, they're implying it. And then Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene, to the average Republican voter, look strong when they come out and just say what they're thinking. And that is the essence of what the Republican Party is. And for me, you predict, I think you and I, Cenk, both saw Trump coming a long way in 2015, 2016. I see him coming again. I have no reason to believe that the Republican Party is not going to just nominate him again in 2024.
Oh, that's not.
Except this time, they've already done the coup practice run, and they've purged every Republican out of the party who had a problem with not certifying Joe Biden as the president. And what scares me the most is looking ahead to 2024 and them not certifying electors, even in states Biden wins, and the coming political crisis that can only be solved if the Democrats do something with the power they have right now.
Well, that's what they're worried about. That's the last thing. As I was saying, she's the pick me. She's like, yeah, it's me next, right? So is Matt Gaetz, because he also pointed out inside to tell everyone, hey, if President Trump doesn't run, I'm gonna run and whoop Joe Biden all up and down the country. He did say that as well. They're both on this media tour to make sure that they are the new young version of Donald Trump, because like he's old, he might go to jail, won't, might get charged and won't. But just in case, let's make sure that you guys know I'm the heir apparent. I'm the racist heir apparent. It's the same playbook, as we've all pointed out. They just want to make sure that you know their name is up there, ready for that next stage. This is all it takes to qualify.
Yeah, so some of you who are real folks who might be watching this going, but guys, look, people do accents, right? No, friends could do accents among each other, right? So, I've known Jayar now, we worked together for about 19 years, and Jesus, our original director, et cetera, and Anna and Ben and stuff. We're been friends for decades. So if they want to make a joke about me being Muslim, that's just among friends, because we trust each other, we love each other, right? And then you could do that, right? But she's not coming at it from love. She's talking about drug cartels, right? She's not my friend. She's not the friends of Mexican folks in this country. She's doing it out of hate. That's a giant difference. It isn't like, oh, that's so folksy. Oh, she has the courage to be politically incorrect. No, she's doing it so you could hate Mexican people. And so that's all the difference in the world. And finally, for Republicans, again, you won't see this in mainstream media because they're so afraid to say things that are true. Like, remember my whole life, your whole life, everybody in media, and you'll remember this, because it wasn't that long ago, it was just 5 years ago. And they still the vestiges of pretending it to this day. They pretended the Republican Party and the Republican voters are voting based on free trade principles and Milton Friedman, and that they were anti-tariffs and all these things. And by the way, pro-war. It turns out Republican voters aren't even pro-war, to be fair to them, right? Yeah. And all of these things, they put all of this corporate garbage onto the Republican Party as if Republican voters wanted it. Now the good news, we're super fair and honest. The good news is the Republican voters don't want that corporate crap. Tucker Carlson's figured that out. He's speaking out against big business every night. So they were always lying about what Republican voters wanted. And it was partly for their corporate agenda, but it was partly to make him seem cute and cuddly. Oh, they're okay. They have principles. No, they don't. The core of the Republican voter can be summarized as this. They will vote for someone if they hate the same people I hate. Period. Done. There is no other principle.
And it's so deeply ingrained, people don't even realize the way they believe certain things about people. This caricature voice, as you said, it's not a joke. It's not in any kind of way saying, oh yeah, folksy stuff. It's to make sure that you hate. And hate isn't always just saying, here, let's call them these particular names. People like to say, oh, I didn't say the N-word, so I'm not racist. Okay, yeah, leave that alone. If anybody starts talking like that, just know who they are and be aware.
By the way, that might be next. I just realized it, just this moment. Because there are no rules anymore. There are no guidelines anymore. There's nothing left. So whoever is most racist gets the most money. Why do you think they're on a tour? Gaetz is accused of child sex trafficking. And he's still raising tons of money from Republican voters. Because they're like, as long as you're racist, I'm cool with it. QAnon and all that stuff, we were kidding. Child sex trafficking, nobody cares. You actually did it, I don't care. Oh, you hate Mexicans, you hate black people. You say we should use our Second Amendment against Silicon Valley, who blocks me from Twitter for being racist. And you say I should go, I have an obligation to go kill them? Yeah, what about Gaetz? That was in that same event. So it's always been a lie that the Republican voters cared about anything but hatred. Whoever is the most hateful will get the most money, attention, and the most likely to win. And hence the use of the N-word openly and brazenly is next. Tick, 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 tick.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Cenk in 2018 in the Marie Newman's district, now a Justice Democrat who won, the former president of the American Nazi Party won the Republican primary. There is, David Duke was a Republican Party official. This has always been a part of the Republican Party. And the one thing that's really funny to me about Marjorie Taylor Greene is the substance of what she's saying. She said drug cartels love Biden, but in reality, it was Republican politicians in the past that have propped up these right-wing dictatorships in El Salvador. It was Reagan with the Iran-Contra scandal, which is the smuggling of illegal drugs to fund, illegal wars in Latin America. The involvement of the drug cartels right now in Colombia with the right-wing government there that's now, cracking down on left-wing protesters. You have a long tradition of organized crime and the drug cartels being used to attack America's enemies in Latin America. That's the actual reality of our history. And Marjorie Taylor Greene and Trump, they don't give a crap. It's all about spreading whatever bigotry will get them votes. And there's a famous quote by LBJ who basically says, if you can go to a white man and give him a black man to look down upon, he won't just vote for you, he'll empty your pockets for you. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is the literal embodiment of that.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, Jayar. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.